So we're talking leadership, and expertise in leadership, we can possibly say, is hard to come by. But you just did an exercise and you experienced and watched an exercise of leadership. Blindfolded leadership of people going from one place to another and then switching roles. So each of you that has done that experienced a role of leadership and a role of followership. So let's use this insight and expertise in what way we can explore and understand what makes effective leadership further. I typically ask folks to reflect on their emotional state when they have been blindfolded, when they were in that position of leadership and when they were in the position of followership. Many people will remark that it is very uncomfortable for them to be blindfolded. It is very uncomfortable because they feel they lose control. Many people feel it's uncomfortable to have the responsibility of leading somebody that has no autonomy and no control. Others say they love it when they are in the leading position. They are in power, they are in charge. They prefer that over not being in charge. What people, though, generally agree on that both positions do get them a little bit anxious. The position, the blindfolded position, the follower position, more so than maybe the other one. But people are afraid, fearful. Lack of control makes them edgy. And it's important, I think, to understand that that is a natural feeling and natural process in terms of leadership and followership in organizations. To be successful in leading, many of the couples that are doing a good job will say that they alleviated that kind of fear. That people, possibly through communication, holding hands, reassurances, make sure that the follower who's deprived of control feels comfortable. That we create something that we call psychological safety. When a leader does this well, the follower feels good, trusts the leader, the communication can flow and emerge, and you can get safely from spot A to spot B. When that psychological safety isn't occurring, when there isn't that comfort, then oftentimes what happens is that people open their eyes, they try to gain control, regain control, they do not trust the words of the leader. The process is typically slower. People take a lot longer to get to point B. And the process overall is cumbersome. Now, I don't know where you were in that camp and what experience you had, but it's not untypical to have a combination of both because it is not easy to make people feel comfortable, to build trust, to create and establish psychological safety. What we have seen, though, is that there are various forms of communication that allow to do so, and we're just going to keep that in mind because we're going to look at that later on. In many ways, what also comes out when I ask the question, how does this exercise relate to leadership and insights about good leadership, is that many people say, it helps when I have been the follower and when I understand and have been in the shoes of the leader and the follower at the same time, because I know what to look for. I know what to account for. Because I was in the situation of the follower, I can then, as a leader, account for what has been missing. I can establish, for example, the kind of trust and psychological safety that I was missing. I can communicate more directly. I can hold hands. I can account for all the problems that I was witnessing when I was a follower, for example. So empathy seems to be critical. Empathy as a mechanism to establish trust and to establish good, comfortable relationships with each other. That is a piece for good leadership. Empathy in itself doesn't necessarily help and alleviate all these kind of problems of good leadership. But in combination with the willingness to establish trust and psychological safety, it's seen to be a critical mechanism and element for good leadership. One that is oftentimes missing, as we've showcased before. Not many people trust their leaders. In that context, I think this exercise points to some very basic insights about human nature, human functioning, the need for good leadership that is trust-based, that is empathy-based, that is based on creation of psychological safety. When all of these things fall in place, you probably will have experienced that the process of being led and being a leader is a much easier process. It is a co-creative process. It's something that followers and leaders do together as a co-creative process, one that achieves the results quicker and better, more effectively and efficiently.